Just want to introduce it to you today and kind of break down some of the things that's needed just to enter into that concept. So we have this ideology of becoming your own baby in order for you to enhance your own self-care. Hey there. Hey. Welcome to another Bojoul video. And what we're going to do is move into this idea that we have at Bojoul to become your own baby. It's a whole theory. It's a whole ideology. And I just want to introduce it to you today and kind of break down some of the things that's needed just to enter into that concept. So we have this idea or this ideology of becoming your own baby in order for you to enhance your own self-care. And the reason we use the idea of becoming your own baby, because think about it. When you have a baby or when you have to care for a baby, there's a certain way that you move. You're very cautious. You're looking around. You're making sure the environment is safe. You are not going to let anything harm your child or someone else's child. It's just the idea that when you have a baby, right, or when you have to care for a baby, it's something inside of you that shifts. Hands down, it's something, we all go into this protective and defensive mode to make sure that we are making that child safe and happy and comfortable. And so I introduced to you today the concept of you becoming your own baby. You become your own baby. And to kind of shift that mindset into protecting yourself and treating yourself in a way as if you are caring for someone or a baby who really can't care for themselves. So when I introduce this concept of being your own baby, I have to begin with our inner child. Every person has an inner child. And I'm sure you've heard that concept before, but I want to give you the definition of exactly what your inner child is. And I'm sure you could immediately connect with it. So the inner child is like a concept we use in psychology, right? I am a psychology major. I have my bachelor's in psychology, and to go into the mind and understand how people behave and why they behave that way, it blows my mind every single time, even to this day. But the inner child is a term that we use in psychology, and it describes the area of a person's personality and emotions and experiences that they carry with them in childhood. It refers to like childlike qualities that exist in all of us. No matter how adult we are or we become or how old we get, grown we get, we always carry certain childlike qualities in us all the time. Yeah, we grow up and we move more into an adult realm of experience in this life, but it's like that child inside of us is always there. It represents our innocence, our creativity, our curiosity, our playfulness, and it never leaves us in our adulthood. That innocence. You know what I mean? The way we see things, the way we look at people, the way we look at the world. Of course, as you get older, a lot of things kind of drop off because we kind of see things for what they are. But it's always like this bit of innocence that's still within us. Creativity, all the things that we used to do when we were children. Think about when you were a child. You had this creative ambition. You wasn't afraid of what other people thought of you. You wanted to express yourself, whether it was in words, whether it was drawing and art, whether it was in dancing, whatever it was, you had this inescapable need to be creative. Then we got the curiosity side, which would get us in trouble as children a lot. We had this exploding curiosity. We wanted to know how the world worked. How does this work? How does that work? How can I do this? Which would definitely get us in trouble most of the time. But the curiosity was there still nonetheless. And guess what? It still is. It still is. And the sense of playfulness. I recently understood the necessity for play in children. I was helping my daughter with a project about a schematic play in children and how certain things they do, certain patterns that they repeat over and over and over again when they're playing, it actually builds their it actually builds their motor skills, and it actually strengthens their ability to move in the world with a sharper sense of awareness, like repeated things that they may do, but they always want to play. And I never looked at play in that way. It's like, okay, kids play. That's what kids do. But they're playing for a reason. They're playing, and it strengthens certain aspects of their mind, and it strengthens certain emotional muscles, if you will, that is going to help them to be able to engage in this world much more effectively and efficiently. So when I talk about the inner child, all I'm basically speaking about is that child that's still within us. We have these childlike needs, you know what I mean? Even the vulnerability, certain things, it never ever leave us. And so I wanted to introduce the idea of the inner child to kind of lay a preface for the idea of just becoming your own baby. In order to become your own baby, or to even see yourself as your own baby, you have to understand or connect with the inner child that is within you. And no matter how much we've been through as adults, or no matter what we go through, that child is still there. That child is still there. I was the most curious child in the world. Creative, playful, super innocent, vulnerable, not really knowing the gravity of certain situations, or I didn't know the effect that certain things would have of knowing or not knowing. And so as I introduced this idea of your inner child, I want you to just kind of, as I go through these different points, I want you to just kind of think back or think currently to like just different little areas in you that child is still kind of like roaring inside of you. You see her or you see him. It's there, and it's okay. It's normal. It's a part of our makeup. It's who we are. And when you're able to connect with that inner child and just acknowledge that inner child is still there, then it helps us to kind of gravitate more to this idea of becoming our own baby, thus heightening the way you take care of yourself. See, once you change the perspective of how you see yourself, putting yourself first and caring for yourself becomes much easier because you've changed the frame. You've changed the frame. So, what are the benefits of even becoming your own baby, or just accepting the concept of becoming your own baby? I want to just talk about three main things that you will certainly benefit from just accepting yourself as, or just seeing yourself as your own baby in terms of self-care. One of the things that I want to begin with is you will have a increased self-acceptance. The way you accept yourself will increase because you're seeing yourself differently. When your self-acceptance is increased, it encourages us to embrace every area of ourselves. You know how like we have the tendency to pick and choose what we accept in ourselves. We like this, we don't like that, we don't like this, we don't like that. But when you are starting to embrace that idea of you becoming your own baby, you see yourself and you're able to accept your flaws, your imperfections, your vulnerabilities. Why? Because you're that baby. When you have a baby or you have a child or you watching somebody else's baby, you're a great aunt, you're a niece or whatever the case may be, you understand they have certain flaws. They're children. You understand they have certain vulnerabilities. You're already prepared. Like when you're prepared because I understand how children act. So you're already engaged. You're already prepared for different little things that they may do, mistakes that they may make, things that they may say. You're prepared. You're not taken aback. This is how when you accept yourself or treat yourself as your own baby, you begin to accept these things in yourself. Because no matter how grown you might think you are or how much of an adult you think you are, we still have these childlike qualities that we need to address or we need to accept in order to fully accept who we are. When you shift the mindset, you let go of like self-judgment and you cultivate like a kinder and more compassionate relationship with yourself. Can you imagine? You become kinder to yourself. That is why this concept is so deep, because I could tell you to have more compassion for yourself or be kinder to yourself. But when you don't even see yourself in such a way to be, if you don't see yourself in that manner, it's hard for you to do that. So just treat yourself. Be your own baby. That's what this concept is BYOB. Be your own baby. It increases how well you're able to accept who you are. Can you imagine just being kinder to yourself? It's okay. Everybody make mistakes. I have grandchildren. I have a 7-year-old grandchild, 5 and 1. And I speak to the older two all the time. And I say, it's okay. You make mistakes. It's okay. I want them to get comfortable with being okay to make a mistake. You don't have to be perfect. That concept or that premise, that ideology in your life that you have to be perfect and that you cannot make mistakes is an exercise of frustration. It is unfair and it's unreasonable. And it puts undue stress and pressure on you to measure up to something that actually nobody in this world can measure up to. And that is the truth. By being your own baby, you build a stronger foundation of self-worth and you have a better sense of inner peace. You at peace with yourself, baby. I'm human. I make mistakes. I falter. It's okay. It's a part of the process. If you know that your journey to success is going to require some fumbling, falling, some obstacles, some setbacks, if you understand that that's a part of that whole process, once you hit these places in your journey, It's not going to throw you off because you understand it's all a part of the process. It's all a part of that journey. So that's the first thing. Just being your own baby, connecting with your inner child, you increase your self-acceptance. And that's primary. You got to accept who you are. You're you. Accept every single thing about you, every single thing. That's going to just lay the foundation for when you go into this journey and delving into this self-care journey is so much easier. The next thing I wanted to share in terms of being your own baby, it invites you and it teaches you how to self-soothe. I remember I first heard that concept when I had my child, and my mom used to always tell me, don't pick that baby up when she's crying all the time. Don't pick that baby up. And I didn't understand why. And my mom used a term like, you have to teach them how to self-soothe. And that is so deep as I have become an adult to understand that you have to learn how to bring comfort to yourself. Oh my God. That is so deep. You have to learn how to self-soothe. When you accept this idea of becoming your own baby, self-soothing is a part of it, because you're not going to be able to have other people that's always available to provide what it is that you need. You learn self-soothing techniques. You learn how to take deep breaths. You learn how to speak to yourself like a gentle self-talk. You learn how to engage in calming activities that's going to support you emotionally. And it helps us during challenging situations. This is so important because everybody in this life is going to have some challenging situations. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you think you are. Challenging situations come to all of us. And when you are embracing these different tools and techniques of self-care, you learn how to calm yourself down. You learn how to enter into this place of peace. I could tell you now, even as I'm sharing these things with you, one of the things I do to self-soothe is solitude. I separate myself from the situation, from the person, from the people, whatever is going on in my life at that time. And I learn how to be in solitude, and I learn how to pray. I learned how to go in prayer and just allow my mind to escape from whatever it is that's going on and kind of direct my attention to God and to thoughts that are higher than what it is that I am going through at the current moment. You cannot escape this body until we die. And if that is not your plan, you have to learn how to make your environment within yourself as comfortable as possible. It's like in your home. I like for my home to be as clean and as neat as I possibly can keep it. It's one of my pet peeves. Why? I spend most of my time home. I want to be comfortable, and not only just the way my house will look, I want it to have a vibe of peace and support and love and comfort, because I got to be here. The same thing with our bodies inside of us, our mind. You have to learn how to soothe yourself and not be upset or not hold anybody else hostage to soothing you when you're going through something. It is nothing wrong with having friends and a support system. We all need that. But oftentimes, there are going to be occasions, more than you might even be comfortable with, where you're going to have to learn how to soothe yourself. when you have a baby, right? I used to use a pacifier with my children. People used to tell me, oh, don't give the baby a pacifier. Listen, they got to learn how to soothe. And it's okay to have different tools to help the child soothe. But what about soothing the child that's in you? What are you going to do? What tools are you going to gravitate to that's going to help you to soothe, self-soothe, when you're going through life's most, unspeakable challenges? When you accept and when you embrace this idea of becoming your own baby, you learn how to self-soothe so much more effectively. And it's the last thing I want to share with you in terms of becoming your own baby is emotional healing. So when you accept this idea of becoming your own baby, right? It facilitates emotional healing by creating a nurturing environment for the inner child to heal from past wounds and past traumas. So you go from self-soothing, right? What was the first thing we said? So the first thing we said was it increases your self-acceptance. Then we go into self-soothing, right? So once you go into self-soothing, now you have this environment where you can heal from everything. You don't expect anybody to fix you anymore because you're in a self-soothing state, right? You go right into your emotional healing. By acknowledging and attending to our emotional needs, we offer ourselves an opportunity to heal old hurts and release emotional baggage. Emotional baggage and old wounds are heavy. And they break your back down emotionally. It's hard for you to do anything else when you're carrying so much baggage and you cannot release it. And here's the thing, and I've done it so many times, and as I study deeper areas of psychology, I understand that I do it too sometimes. Sometimes we argue for our limitation. You know you have emotional wounds, you know you have baggage, and you argue to keep it. But this is why I'm going through this, and this is why this is happening, and that is why. And it's like you argue to stay there, like you want to stay. And until you no longer want it anymore, how do I say this? You ever been in a relationship, whether it's with a boyfriend or one of your close friends or a family member or whatever, just a relationship in general, right? And you wanted that relationship so much all your whole life, and you cherished it, and you thought you couldn't breathe or eat without it or whatever the case may be, until you didn't want it anymore. And then when you don't want it, and when you realize it's done, it's done. You don't want it. You have to get to the point where you don't want to argue for that. You don't want to have that baggage anymore. You got to not want it. Sometimes, and the truth is, we want it. We use it as a protection. We use it as a badge of honor, so to speak, in the fact that this is why I behave the way I behave, or it gives you an excuse to move certain ways that are unacceptable. It's like arguing for the limitation to say, no, I've been hurt. No, I can behave this way. Or no, I don't really have to grow. No, I want to stay here. And here's the thing. We may not say it verbally, but our actions speak louder than anything that we could ever, ever, ever say. Our actions speak so much louder. So this process of emotional healing, it allows us to cultivate a deeper sense of self-awareness and to develop much healthier responses to situations. And it also paves the way for personal growth and for transformation in our life. I promise you, that's what I want so much more is personal transformation. It's not about what other people say. It's not about what other people do. It's not about how someone responds to me. It's me knowing that I am making a change for myself. They doing things that I normally would not do. Engaging in activities that I know that are healing and healthy for me, that is stretching me outside of my comfort zone. You have to nurture that inner child with love, care, understanding, so that you can expect a profound shift in your whole emotional well-being. It's like we speak about emotional wellness. We speak about these things all the time, but what is not said enough, and what I will say here today, you have to be an active participant and wanting to. That is why I'm laying a preface, I'm laying a foundation for this whole idea of becoming your own baby. Because if it's not something that you want, don't waste time. If you need to feel vulnerable and you need to hold on to your emotional baggage or trauma, you need it. I don't think that anybody escapes childhood without having some level of trauma or emotional baggage. I've never met a person who has. I really don't. So, in light of this, when you're becoming your own baby, it opens the door for you to grow and to become a version of yourself that you never thought would be imaginable. When you hold yourself and you put yourself in a position as precious as a baby, you react to things differently, you move differently, you provide yourself with things differently and with more urgency. You're no longer going to be on the back burner. So I just wanted to encourage you today just to think about the things that we've discussed today. Tapping into your inner child, just to be able to wrap your head around the idea of becoming your own baby. Your inner child is alive and well and present. Whether you have stuffed her down or stuffed him down and tucked them away, that baby is there. And by accepting and tapping into your inner child and embracing this idea of becoming your own baby, you increase your self-acceptance. That's one. You are able to self-soothe so much better or create a pattern or practice of self-soothing. And you're able to heal or to begin your emotional healing. Begin emotional healing. You have to want to, though. Remember that. You have to want all of this that we're talking about. You have to want it. You could take courses. You could be encouraged to do all of this. You could be encouraged to do all of that. But you have to want it.